Okay, Matt, we're out here again. We're going to do another scene of demonstrating the multi-layered approach with visual and gunshot detection. So visual gun detection and actual gunshot detection. Kind of walk us through this scene that we're about to set up.
Yeah, so what we've done here is simulated the entry point at any number of buildings, whether it be a K-12 school or higher education, corporate campus. And we're doing the multi-level audio-visual gun detection system from Bosch. So we're going to be testing real weapons and real gunshot sounds, as well as some other common objects like coffee cups and cell phones that are common sources of false positives. So this is as close as we can get to a real world scenario, mimicking some of the most dangerous situations that any of us face in a given day, but in a completely safe live fire environment.
Yeah, and I think the goal is to demonstrate, you know, the long rifle detection, the more difficult detection with the pistol, and then trying to avoid the false alarms, and we'll be able to see how the system acts with that kind of variables.
Yeah, absolutely. Ultimately, we need to create a system that notifies us if the worst is happening, but also doesn't create alarm fatigue, and we hope to prove that and demonstrate that today.
Okay.
So we're going to begin our simulation here with just some common items that are often the sources of false positives. So here we're simulating an employee or a student coming in from the parking lot, approaching the entry to our building with a coffee cup in their hand. Again, very common item that can be the source of false positives for gun detection. Possibly the most common item that we deal with is cell phones, particularly in K-12 and high schools. Virtually every student walks in with their phone in their hand, and this can lead to a lot of false positives if the algorithm is not properly trained. Fortunately, we've done a lot of work to suppress false positives from cell phones. That false positive suppression of cell phones is difficult because then when we get to a true detection of a handgun, which is in very similar size, color, and even shape sometimes, the ability to detect this handgun while suppressing cell phones and coffee cups is particularly challenging, and we've done a lot of work to make sure that we get this just right. For the final component of our simulation, we're looking at a long gun. This is an easier threat to detect, but is the most common threat that schools and campuses are looking to combat. So as our gunman approaches our outer door, proceeds to the inner door, and ultimately fires, we've detected the weapon both visually and audibly. Now, as we play that scenario back, let's break it down into the opportunities we have to intervene in this situation. As the gunman approaches from the parking lot, you can see our visual gun detection algorithm detects that this person does indeed have a weapon in their hands. We could potentially send notifications on this, whether it be push notifications, notifications across two-way radios, and we also have the opportunity potentially to lock the outer, inner, or both doors prior to this person getting into the building, gaining access. Of course, once the alarm is verified or dismissed, we can then change the status of those doors. We then have a second opportunity to get this detection when a round is actually fired. Of course, we hope to make a detection before a round is ever fired. But in this case, even as the gunman passes through the visual gun detection area, our panoramic camera has a full view, full situational awareness of what this gunman does once they've passed through the visual detection area, and is also detecting the sound of that gunshot. So of course, a visual detection and an audio detection stacked together constitutes a much higher priority alarm than one or the other by themselves.